Hey guys, so this is a video, or rather a series of videos that I've been trying to figure out how to make for a while. So I wanted to do another top heroes list, but because the game is in a state of flux where nothing is like always the best, I was trying to figure out how to do it. And so what I settled on is we're going to do a series of 3 videos. I am going to rank the top heroes, but I'm going to break it down by category of player. So as part one, this one is going to be for beginner players. This is maybe players who have just started all the way up to maybe about 5, 6 months into the game and kind of get them going in a good direction. Part two is going to be for mid to late game. Those are going to be the heroes that you're really going to focus on to carry you through all the rest of the modes and in PvP. And part three will be once you have those heroes, you're in end game where you're going to look for optimization to make your team just a little bit better in all applicable modes, as well as heroes that specialize in PvE, which is Den, Planet Trial, bosses, and all of that. So here is going to be part one. As always, there is a full tier list in the video description. You can use that to flesh out information about all heroes that I am suggesting. You can use it to get an idea of where these heroes are in the relative strength rankings, and also it has extra guides for any other questions you may have. For anything else, you are free to leave comments on the video or join my Discord, where we have a lot of people that will try and help you out. Alright, so with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so the number one hero that beginners are going to want to aim for is Valkyrie. Now, this is not because she herself is super strong, but more because of all the heroes that you can obtain early on. They do give you a lot of copies from various sources. You can continue to get her from shops, and really, of all the strong heroes that you can have at the very beginning of the game, she's going to be one of the strongest, if not the strongest, that you can get copies of easily. So you're given one for, I think, logging in. You're given one if you spend a few dollars. You can get them from May's shop. I believe you get one if you pull some keys. At the very start, you get a chest that you can choose her. So you can really end up with a lot of copies very early on. You will want to focus on her all the way up to T5 Red, and I guarantee you she's going to carry you in every mode from that point on until the point where you inevitably will have to replace her, which actually is very easy to do, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about over-investing in her. Everything will come back eventually. Best setup for her is you're going to probably want an axe, or you can use energy artifact. Rune is not super important. You can use some sort of an attack rune. Really, you want to try and get Gen 2 gear on her if possible. I know that's very expensive for new players, but it makes such a big difference that you will want to make it as soon as you are able to. So she absolutely is going to carry you through everything. Just don't get overly attached to her, because if you play this game long enough, she does kind of she falls off very quickly. But until that point, she's absolutely up there. Number two on this list is going to be Ripper, not because you want to build Ripper and Valkyrie simultaneously, but Ripper is just another relatively easy to get option. In case you happen to get luckier with copies of him than you do with Valkyrie, he is probably one of the other best heroes to start with. They do give you a couple of free copies of Ripper just to start the game, and so, depending on who you happen to get luckier with is who you can choose. So he is a strong damage dealer, he's got high dodge, he's got poison, he's got stun. Similar to Valkyrie, you're just going to want to focus on him, take him up as your single damage dealer, and work with that. He really does want speed rune, he wants energy, and then you can work with anything else from there. Similarly, you will want Gen 2 gear as soon as possible. The third choice here is going to be Cosmic Freya. Now, we know that Cosmic Heroes are very expensive, they're very hard to obtain. However, because of how they are designed, you don't actually need them to be at super high level to get some sort of an effect out of them. So Cosmic Freya, the way she works is she puts a pet onto every one of your heroes, and every time they attack, they do another hit with the pet based on their own attack stat, not Cosmic Freya's. What that means is that you really only need her at 6 stars to instantly double the strength of any damage dealers you have, and if you're using someone like Valkyrie and Ripper, it's just going to make them much deadlier. So in order to obtain Freya, you will have to have 2 cosmic crystals. You can get those from pulling keys or eyes. You'll have to have 2 copies of Freya to make a 6-star. She's relatively easy to get, like she's in Soul Shop, and you'll probably get one from Miracle Eyes at some point. Don't worry too much about it, Freya's not crazy hard to get. You'll want to take her up to 6-star, move on to the next hero in the list, and then come back and work on Cosmic Freya some more. You probably are not going to want to go higher than maybe 9 or 10 stars with her before it really starts to hamper building everything else in your team. So don't focus too heavily on Freya until a little bit later on. But you will want to have a 6-star Cosmic Freya and the next one Cosmic Phoenix, because these two are better fillers than anything else you will be able to put in a team alongside your Valkyrie and Ripper. Even if you end up with 9 stars or 10 stars, these two will still outdo them easily. Her gear, honestly, she really wants speed and energy, but if you are using her at 6 stars, she's going to be so weak that she'll die in one hit anyway. But it doesn't matter, because even if she dies, she still puts her pet on, and the pet stays with you for the rest of the battle. So absolutely focus on getting a Cosmic Freya. One warning, if the enemy happens to have Azathoth and your Freya gets exiled, you will not get the bonuses of the pet, so just keep that in mind when using her against certain teams. Fourth and final option for beginners is going to be Cosmic Phoenix. Once you've made Cosmic Freya, you're going to do the same thing. You need 2 stars, you need 2 copies of regular Phoenix, who you can get from converts if you're aiming for other higher tier heroes. Phoenix is not easy to get, but relatively, since you only need 2 copies of her, she's going to be easier to obtain than a whole bunch more copies of much better heroes. So the way the Cosmic Phoenix works is, the turn that she dies, all your heroes will gain like 300% damage reduce and basically make them next to invincible for 1 turn. If in that 1 turn the enemy fires all their skills and does 1 damage, now you've turned the battle around in your favor, or hopefully you do turn the battle around in your favor due to staggering their energy. This works in higher level Planet Trial Den as well. You can use her to buy yourself a turn. And also, when she dies, she does burn damage constantly, but it's so low at 6-star that you're not going to worry about it too much. So for her gear, she's really not going to matter. So this is a quicker tier list of heroes that beginners can aim for. Really, you're going to want to have either Valkyrie or Ripper and both of these Cosmics. And from there on, you can use the tier list, again, linked below, to try and fill in the rest of your team with other heroes that you happen to get luckier with. If you do happen to get lucky with them, you can choose to build them instead of Valkyrie, but because Valkyrie is so much easier to get, she really is just highly recommended as one of the first heroes that you work on. So, hopefully this helps people that are starting the game. So that will be all for this one, and see you guys hopefully shortly in part 2 where we discuss mid to late game. Thanks, and see you next time.